Politics over the last couple of years has taken a bit of a strange route, with new divides cropping up ever since the pandemic hit the world. I'm delighted to have joined with me someone who has an extensive wealth of knowledge about the subject of COVID and many other things. He is a writer, journalist and columnist for publications such as The Spectator, The Daily Telegraph, The Daily Mail and The Daily Express, and is also the Chief Executive Editor for Breitbart London. He's written books such as 365 Ways to Drive a Liberal Crazy and How to Be Right. And he's also a podcast host of a podcast known as The Delingpod. So I am delighted to welcome to this interview James Delingpole. Thank you very much for taking your time out for me.
Oh, that's my pleasure. If I'm a bit kind of weird, I've got back pain and it's sort of slightly making me, it's like I'm slightly out of it. But
yeah, no problem.
I'll do my best.
I'll go easy on you with the questions, so it's all good.
Yeah.
So this interview really is just to reaffirm to not only myself, but a lot of the viewers that we aren't crazy, because you have an extensive wealth of knowledge on a lot of these subjects. So there's a lot of talk about the Great Reset. Okay, that's one of the biggest topics at the minute. And there are still people out there that believe it's just some kind of conspiracy theory. Can I ask what your take is? Complete take.
It's not a conspiracy theory if they're out there telling you what they're doing, which the World Economic Forum has been doing for years on its websites. We're talking about an organization which was founded in the early 1970s. It's the organization where every year the 1% of the 1% fly off in their private jets to congregate at Davos and discuss how to reorder the world in their own interests. So the idea that you can magic away this problem by pretending that it's just a kind of a fantasy of people wearing tinfoil hats doesn't really work. I mean, they're perfectly open about it. It was the World Economic Forum which produced that video, I think in 2016, where some starry-eyed youth said, you'll own nothing and you will be happy. Well, yeah. And apparently we're going to rent our properties and we're going to have everything we need delivered to us by, I don't know, probably some drone or something. And it's going to be great because who needs property anyway? I mean, why shouldn't we contract out all our possessions to a shadowy elite? What's not to like?
Exactly. And I find it very strange that there are still some people today that's still saying it's some sort of conspiracy theory when Klaus Schwab himself has even written a book called The Great Reset, and it speaks a lot about microchips in the brain and things like that, these radical ideas that is something out of some sort of dystopian novel. So it's quite scary.
What you're describing there is actually an integral part of the conspiracy. I mean, it's a shame really that this word conspiracy is now always associated with theory, and the reason for that, just going back, is that after the Kennedy assassination, the CIA started producing these briefing papers, which they circulated, saying, let's anyone who doesn't believe the official narrative, let's call them a conspiracy theorist, and it's become this kind of stigma. But we know that the dictionary definition of a conspiracy is simply a couple of people or more gathering together to discuss how to order events. Conspiracies happen all the time. It's not a sort of fantastical thing which only crazy people believe in. But yeah, even part of the trick is that they announce what they're going to do. That they tell you in plain sight. They have websites, they have meetings, and so on. So it's all out in the open. And yet at the same time, you have these people, I suppose you'd call them useful idiots. That's what Lenin or Stalin would have called them. People who are prepared for whatever reason to go out there and deny the thing that they're telling us about is real. Now, how can you do that when they've got all these websites and papers and briefing documents and meetings telling you exactly what they're going to do? How can you have that and yet simultaneously claim that this is not real. It's a form of cognitive dissonance. It's a form of sort of deliberate misinformation. It's designed to muddy the waters. These people aren't stupid. These people, after all, they're the ones that call the shots in the world, and they've been doing it for decades. So they've mastered every kind of psychological manipulation technique in the book. I mean, it's no coincidence that right now Britain is being run by behavioral scientists. They've got this down to a fine art. I mean, the SAGE committees, they're not mostly infectious disease experts. They're experts on behavioral manipulation. And that's what organizations like the WF do as well.
Unfortunately, you're watching this video on YouTube, where the powers that be love to censor Rebel News videos. So if you'd like to watch the full thing uncensored, please head on down to the description below or the top comment, and you'll be able to watch that in its entirety. Thank you very much.